Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I'll show you how I made this Christmas village. I'll be making a smaller version for a friend of mine, so if you want to know how I did it, stick around. I purchased a 4x4 from Lowe's and I cut out different house shapes using my miter saw. I also sanded off the edges so they are less sharp. As you can see, one of them is smaller than the other one, and I also cut out this tiny home, which is going to be nested in between these two big ones. For the color choices, I decided to go with this moss green color. The second will be in this mustard yellow, and the third one will be in this ocean blue color. To start, I'm going to paint each house. I will be applying 2 coats of paint, but before I'll apply the second coat, I'll make sure the first coat is completely dry. I am not going to paint the roof at this point because I'll be installing shingles later made out of craft sticks. For this blue one, I want to install a little overhang right here. So what I'm going to do is to use this scrap piece of wood that came off one of the houses and cut it off right over here. Then I'm going to glue it to the front of the house and place it over there. Once it's done, it's going to look just like this. Here is the little piece of the wood I just cut off, and I also sanded the edges. I will glue it on the front of the house and place it right here. For this, I'll be using this wood glue. Using a brush, I'll apply a layer of glue and glue it on. This is something I should have done before I painted the house, but I just remembered that I wanted to do this, so now I'll have to wait for the glue to dry, and then I can just paint this little overhang blue to match the house. The glue is now dry and I can finish painting. The top of this little overhang doesn't have to be painted because it will be covered in shingles, but I ended up painting it anyways. And here are all the houses painted and ready for shingles. To make the shingles, I'll be using these craft sticks I purchased at the dollar store. They are inexpensive and this one package will cover my roofs. I'm going to cut off the ends and I'll make 2 types of shingles. I'll have these with the round edges, and I will also have these flat ones. First, I'm going to tape them with a painter's tape. I'm doing this because I'll be cutting them with my miter saw in my garage, and if I don't tape them together, they'll just go flying around. These shingles are about 1.5 centimeters long. See how they stay together? And this way I don't have to be sweeping them up from the floor. I can now start installing the shingles. But first, what I'm going to do is to draw some lines as a guide to ensure I'm gluing them on equal distance apart. My shingles are about 1.5 centimeters long, and these lines are 1 centimeter apart because the shingles need to overhang. See, when I put the shingles on like this, they will nicely overlap. Some of these are a little frayed, but if I need to, I can just sand them off using sandpaper. But I'm not going to worry about it too much because the top of the shingles will be covered until the very last row. I'm using the wood glue and just applying a layer of glue on the first row. Once the glue is on, I can then start laying my first row of shingles. For the second row, I'm going to start with a half shingle, so I'm just going to cut one in half with a knife. See, like this, I'll start my second row with a half a shingle first. First, I'll apply glue on the second row, and then I can start laying my shingles again. And just like that, I'll repeat everything until I get to the very top of the house. And here you have it. The shingles are glued on and drying. The greenhouse has the flat shingles and the rest are the rounded shingles. And I even glued on the shingles on the overhang. It is time to paint the roof. I am painting it red using this color. It's from Apple Barrel called Cardinal Crimson. And just like I painted the house, I will apply 2 coats of paint. This is more tedious painting because I have to make sure to reach all the nooks and crannies. But I think it's all worth it, because these shingles are just so cute and they look much better than a plain flat roof. And don't forget to paint the sides of the shingles as well. And here they are all painted and ready for some decorations. I am using old paint sticks to make the doors and the windows. I just painted the windows with some acrylic paint, and for the doors I decoupaged them with napkins to make them a little bit more festive looking. You can use all sorts of things you have lying around to decorate the houses. For example, I have these stars, and I also have these snowflakes, but I made these wreaths I'll be using to decorate mine. I am going to start by making the doors. First step is to paint them white. If you are making these houses as well, you don't have to decoupage the doors. You can just paint them whatever color you like. But I thought decoupaging them would add a whimsical touch to these houses. I will apply 2 coats of paint and I will let the paint dry in between coats. Now that the paint has dried, I can start decoupaging. I have these holiday napkins, so I'll make each door different. First, I'm going to trim off a piece of napkin I need, and then I will separate the layers. I only want to use the top layer of the napkin, and they usually come with 3 layers. This can be tricky sometimes, but I'm sure you can manage. I will use Mod Podge to glue my napkin on. I'm just going to apply a thin layer of Mod Podge and then place the napkin on top of it. Using a plastic wrap, I'm going to smooth out the wrinkles. The back side of the door doesn't matter, but I want to make sure the sides look really nice. So I'm just going to wrap the napkin around the door. Almost done. The only thing left is to apply a top layer of Mod Podge on the front of the door. And here are all the 3 doors I made using napkins with different designs. Time to decorate the houses. First, I am going to start with this green one. I will use this decoupage door with the holly design, 2 little windows made from paint sticks, and the wreath. I'll glue on the door using wood glue. And I'll do the same thing for the windows. I didn't show you how to make this miniature wreath. If you want to know, leave me a comment below and I can make a video and show you how I did it. But basically, I just used the cheap Christmas tree from the dollar store and I cut off the branches and I used them to make this wreath. And there is our first house ready to go. Next one is going to be this tiny little home, and for this one I will use the door decorated with Christmas trees. Again, I'll just apply a layer of wood glue and I will glue the door on. For this one, I decided to go with one window which again I'm gluing on with the wood glue. And then it needed something festive, so I decided to make a small little planter. Since this video is already long, I didn't show you how I did it, but again, if you want to know, leave me a comment below and I'll be happy to make another video showing you how I did it. Sadly, I didn't hit the record button when I was decorating this blue house. But I used a decoupage door, and then I used this round window that I made from these wooden rounds I had lying around. I also decorated it using a branch from this Christmas tree, and I added these red dots that I used from this branch that I got at the dollar store. Almost done. I just need to add a few more decorative touches and they will be ready for display. First thing I am going to do is to add some snowflakes to the house. I'll use a Q-tip and a toothpick to do that. I am just going to dab the Q-tip in the white paint and add a few snowflakes. To make smaller snowflakes, I'll use the tip of the toothpick. And just like that, I'll decorate each house from all four sides. Next up is the roof. I'm going to use this 3D fabric paint from the dollar store. I'll squeeze out some of the paint on the top of the roof to resemble the snow. It takes quite a lot of time to dry, and it will also lose some of the puffiness. I will also add a few snow spots on the roof itself. And then using a Q-tip and a toothpick, I'll add a few snowflakes to the roof. Another thing you can do is to grab a brush, dip it in a paint, and sprinkle on a few snowflakes this way. This is quite a messy process though, and I ended up sprinkling on some snowflakes on my curtains as well. So be careful when you're doing it. Well, check them out. The only thing left is to assemble the pieces. I'll show you what I mean by that. I painted a piece of board white and I stamped Merry Christmas on the front of it. I will place the houses on the top of the board. I will glue them on later, but the puffy snow hasn't completely dried yet, so I can't mess with it too much at this point. To decorate, I'll add a few trees. These I purchased from the dollar store. It was a set of 3 for $1.25. And I also made this cute little snowman. If you want to know how, let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to share with you the process. So what do you think? This is actually going to be a gift for my friend Christine and I can't wait to give it to her. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button. It means a lot to me. And until next time, happy crafting!